Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Many Minds Therapy Hub. I'm here with Vanessa today. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
I am excited to talk to you about the topic that we're going to cover in this episode because we've been talking about trauma in general, what it is, some strategies to recognize certain triggers, how it impacts relationships, the challenges that we may face, connecting to social support, kind of responding to our needs, some tips about ways to go about healing. But I feel like not that anybody else wouldn't get it, but I'm excited to talk to you about how can we heal trauma through movement, especially you.
It's an exciting topic. I think that both of us connect in that way because we both dance. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna speak and you can tell me if you feel that way, but through dance, we've been able to connect through our body and we've been able to work through maybe some of
Mm-hmm.
our own trauma or our own stuff as well. So we've been able to experience that and wanting to also share with others so that they can connect with their.
Yeah, yeah. I think because we connect, it's probably because that's why I'm so excited to talk to you about it. I mean, I remember the first time that I actually had some mindfulness exercises, and we'll get there, but I'll tell you this in a second. In dance class, I didn't even know that I was practicing mindfulness. And it was kind of like years later that I realized that it was mindfulness, which is really interesting. So let's start quickly kind of like introducing this whole idea of, why movement is so important whenever we're trying to work through or heal trauma. And, oftentimes we think of like the psychological only impacting us in certain ways, maybe our mind, but we forget that our body is also very intertwined with our mind. And that is, you know, where a lot of the trauma oftentimes is stuck and stored. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yes, definitely. I think being in grad school, one of the books that they share is The Body Keeps the Score. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a very impactful book to read and to notice how trauma can be stored not only in the mind, but also in the body. We feel tension in our bodies. We hold um, different parts of our bodies that hold a lot of tension, especially for women at times, our hips.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's such a logical kind of way of understanding how our bodies work. And at the same time, it's something that it's often not talked about, how our bodies kind of keep the score of a lot of the things that we kind of go through.
Yeah. And how often, more often than not, whenever we have had some, depending on the traumatic experience that we may go through, there is a disconnect from our body, right? The trauma is still in the body, the mind experiencing the trauma, but there is a disconnect between the two because we're not really attuned to what's going on with
Mhm.
ourselves in our body.
Yes. Even
Yeah.
emotions, right? We kind of feel them in our bodies. And at times when we ask, oh, what are we feeling? It's almost like we kind of forget that we have those sensations in our
Mm-hmm.
bodies. And in order to process them, to kind of just let them flow through our bodies, but at times it gets
Mm-hmm.
stored in our bodies. A lot of avoidance at times, just dealing the best way that we can with our emotions, but at times they get stuck on us and we feel it.
Right, right. And you're bringing up the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I know one of or some of the examples given in the book is about war veterans and how they were able to kind of work through some of those symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder through physical movement, right? And, in a very safe. So it's important to always have this safe, contained environment because if we have physical movement in places where we don't feel safe or it's not contained, then we're just adding more stress. Is different.
Yes, it can be more triggering or even more
Mm-hmm.
traumatizing for our body if we don't feel safe.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you recall the example of the I'm trying to remember the name, the war veteran that co-founded a dance school.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Roman, and
Roman Baca.
the yes, thank you. I am awful with names.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was or is to have this dance company, Exit 12, for war veterans, where they can actually tell their stories through movement, and then reprocess some of their emotional experiences, which is, I think, is such a beautiful way to like address and cope, with the aftermath of war trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dance is very powerful. I mean, it's all throughout history, people dancing. And now we kind of see the benefits of how it can help us heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How about for you? If you want to give an example, I don't know.
Yes. So, I mean, as you know, I dance. And at times, dealing as a woman, I dealt with a lot of body image stuff, dealt with a lot of that stuff. And learning to dance was the first time that I started kind of connecting with my body and kind of feeling that healing. And I think it still does that for me, but I think that yoga was another tool that also really helped me create more of that safety in my body. Start connecting to different parts of my body, start releasing some of that stuff that gets stuck on us. And I think that they're all connected, all types of movements. So it gets me really excited to go out for a walk, get the sunlight and have that movement in my body. But definitely yoga and dance have been two very important tools for my own mental health and my own healing process.
So it's mindfulness and kind of a sensory awareness of like present moment. You really have to, at least for me, right? I have two parts when it comes to dance. I have the dance that is like joyful and like stress relief, and I'm connected with myself, I'm connected with the people around me, and it's very freeing. It's like you just let go of so much of the stress in a very safe, beautiful environment. But then there is the other side of, right, as you know, dance life that is not so. This is why I feel like, there are different areas where you can work on this. It's not always the same. The other side, it can be actually very stressful, because if I'm doing more of like, if I'm training, then the type A kind of perfectionist side of me comes up, and then I tense up. So that's not so much fun anymore, and it's not like the beautiful mindfulness part that is letting go. And I do have to say that, yet it's still very mindful, and I have to be very aware of my own body. I have to come to my body. I have to notice where the tensions are. I do have to notice like what's stressing me right now, and why is this impacting me the way it is impacting me. Is it like a real physical ability, or is it more of a mind block? So either one, there are two different experiences, but either one of them really brings you to the body, and it really forces you, I think, to breathe so much, so you can actually let go of either whatever you're trying to let go of, any trauma response, if that's what you're working on, or just enjoying, or letting go of any, psychological mental block that you may be having in the moment. So I think it's very powerful.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. It is very powerful, and there's those two sides of dance, especially when there's some competition or in the scene, as which is a whole other talk, right? But this aspect of being able to connect to your breath, I think, is very powerful as well. How our breath can allow for all of that tension to release. I notice as well, there's certain parts of my body that start getting tension at times when I dance, and being able to kind of breathe through those it's an opportunity, I think, as well, where you can relax more and kind of enjoy that. As you were kind of sharing that, something kind of came to mind. I was going to a yoga class the other day, and one of the teachers mentioned that it's sort of a simulation for the real world. That, kind of going to a class, it provides you with different kind of tools and maybe different kinds of triggers, maybe stress as well. And it does at times, have that safe environment for you to kind of work on those tools, work on, even if this class is hard, even if this dance step is challenging, I'm building the tools to be able to work on those. And in return, we can also apply that to the real world, because there's also going to be maybe those stressful moments where we can apply those tools of breath and movement and allowing us to flow and be mindfully present in the moment.
Yeah, I like that reframe of the stress that can come through dance. It's not like if you had trauma, it's not like you're going to be trigger free for the rest of your life. You're just building up the resiliency, and you're building, some tools that you can still utilize, whether it's through movement, yoga, dance, tai chi, whatever type of movement you may practice, and then use those, and breathing is so important. It's like one of my favorite. Every time I feel so stressed, I'm like, breathe. And you just feel it go. It's like, it almost literally feels instant.
Yes. So after that class, I was experiencing some stress. And I was like, oh, remember, it was a simulation for me to gather those tools, for you to gather those tools when. Because I mean, yoga and dance are going to provide some level of challenge within themselves. You think that you have the ability to kind of work through that, gives you the strength to be able to apply that in other areas of your life.
Yeah. And if we bring this back to kind of the beginning, then we can learn to be more in synchrony, right? I'm thinking also like the music that we may use with the movement, but also kind of like our mind and our body, bringing those together in synchrony as we're trying to like build new tools, build like the capacity to face those challenges with the tools that we're learning. With the breath, maybe just noticing where we're stuck, maybe just noticing where the tension is, and trying to be mindful of that. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yes. Yeah, it is a beautiful way it's an opportunity for you to kind of notice your body. I think that in our world, when we're kind of running from one place to another, or have a lot of things in our list, it gives us maybe that 1 hour to be able to really explore our body and to connect with it through breath and through movement and through mindfulness, connecting with our environment, the noises, the sounds, maybe even the energy around us with other people. Times when we go through trauma, it's hard for us to feel safe, especially with other people. And so being in those environments where there is a community of everyone dancing or everyone with the same intention of movement through yoga, it gives us that setting where we can start connecting with our own body and ourselves, and at the same time connecting with those around us.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not just you in isolation. Yeah, but I like that you emphasize the safe environment, right? Everybody is there with the intention of, practicing yoga or doing mindfulness yoga or releasing some of the stress, that comes with our daily life, like for that 1 hour. Whatever movement you choose to do is, in a very safe way, in a safe place with people that encourage that healing. Yeah. And sometimes people don't need to know that that's what you're trying to do, right? That could be your own goal.
Yes, it is. It's like if you're taking the yoga class, you're all in there with the intention of taking that class. And at the same time, it's your own individual practice. And same with dance and any type of movement. I mean, you can just go hiking by yourself, right? And connect with maybe nature, maybe with the sun, the noises around you, the birds, the animals around you. So
and notice how it impacts you. Yeah. Okay, I know I have to be mindful of time today because we are short in time. I feel like we need to keep talking about this or some sort of other, how we can bring this to more of the healing practices for people.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vanessa. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.